Have you ever felt the sting of being judged, belittled, or even dismissed, maybe at work, among friends, or even within your own family? Do you sometimes wonder how to navigate these moments with grace while staying true to yourself? If you've been searching for a way to hold your ground without losing your peace, you've come to the right place. In today's video, we're diving deep into an essential yet often overlooked life skill: holding your head high, even when life throws negativity your way. We're not just talking about staying confident. We're exploring how this principle is deeply rooted in timeless Buddhist wisdom, the power of self-reliance, the balance of confidence and humility, and the resilience to face challenges. All of it is within your reach. But here's the thing: holding your head high is not about arrogance or proving your worth to others. It's about recognizing your inherent value, staying grounded in who you are, and inspiring others through your quiet strength. And trust me, once you learn how to do this, you'll not only navigate life's difficulties with ease, but also transform the way others see and respond to you. Think about it. How often do we let external opinions dictate our self-worth? How often do we shrink back when criticized, or feel the need to over-explain ourselves to gain approval? What if there was a way to rise above all that noise and stand tall, rooted in your truth and unwavering in your purpose? Today, we'll uncover exactly how to do that. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment when you felt the weight of someone else's judgment? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. I read every single one, and your stories could inspire others in this growing community. As we go through this journey together, if you find something that resonates, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who could use this wisdom. And, of course, subscribe to Buddhist Echoes for more content like this, where timeless Buddhist teachings meet modern challenges, helping you live a life of peace, purpose, and confidence. Now, let's dive in. Silent stare, the power of presence. In the Buddhist tradition, silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a profound state of mindfulness. The silent stare aligns closely with the concept of equanimity, upekkha, one of the four sublime states in Theravada Buddhism. When we engage in a silent stare in response to disrespect, we are not merely withholding words. We are embodying a state of balance, where emotions are neither suppressed nor expressed reactively. This approach disarms the aggressor by projecting calmness and self-control. From a practical standpoint, when someone disrespects us, their intention often stems from a need for dominance, validation, or provocation. A silent stare acts as a mirror, reflecting their behavior back at them without our emotional involvement. This is akin to the Buddhist teaching that anger is like holding a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone. The person holding the coal gets burned first. By remaining silent and calm, we refuse to pick up that coal, maintaining our peace. For example, consider a workplace scenario where a colleague dismissively interrupts your contributions during a meeting. Instead of reacting with anger or retreating in silence, holding a steady, neutral gaze can subtly yet powerfully convey that their behavior is noticed and will not rattle you. This non-reactive stance often forces the other person to confront their own behavior, as their expected reaction from you does not materialize. In Buddhist practice, the silent stare can be likened to the practice of noble silence, Arya-2, often observed by monastics and lay practitioners during meditation retreats. Noble silence is not simply about refraining from speech, but about cultivating an internal stillness that radiates outward. When someone is met with this profound stillness, it can disrupt their habitual patterns of disrespect. In this way, the silent stare is both a practical and spiritual tool, a means of maintaining inner peace while subtly inviting others to reflect on their actions. Embrace silence as your answer. In the context of Buddhist philosophy, Embracing silence as a response to disrespect aligns with the practice of right speech, samavaka, one aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech emphasizes speaking only when it contributes to harmony, truth, and understanding. However, there are times when silence is the most skillful response, particularly when words would escalate conflict or drain our energy. Silence, in this sense, is not passivity, but an active choice to preserve one's mental clarity and emotional well-being. The Buddha often taught that restraint in speech is a sign of wisdom. In the Dhammapada, he states, "Better than 1,000 useless words is one useful word, hearing which one attains peace." Extending this principle, sometimes even one word is unnecessary. A relatable example might be dealing with a friend who consistently makes sarcastic or belittling remarks under the guise of humor. Engaging with their comments often leads to frustration or escalation. Instead, by choosing silence, you deny them the reaction they seek, which often diffuses their behavior over time. Moreover, your silence can act as a boundary, signaling that their negativity will not penetrate your inner peace. In Buddhist terms, this practice can be seen as a form of non-attachment, aññāpadana. By not attaching to the disrespectful words of others, we free ourselves from their influence. This detachment does not mean apathy. Rather, it reflects a deep understanding that our peace is too valuable to be disrupted by external provocations. A story from the Buddha's life illustrates this beautifully. Once, a man approached the Buddha and began hurling insults at him. The Buddha remained silent and unmoved. When the man finally demanded a response, the Buddha calmly said, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "To the one who offered it." The Buddha smiled and said, "Likewise, I do not accept your anger, and it remains with you." This story highlights how silence can be a powerful response to negativity. It is a way of saying, without words, "I will not take on the burden of your disrespect." In modern terms, this might translate to not replying to a hostile email, or choosing not to engage in an argument on social media. By doing so, we reclaim our energy and focus it on what truly matters. Stop explaining yourself. The tendency to over-explain our choices often stems from a deep-seated desire for validation or a profound fear of judgment. In Buddhist philosophy, these tendencies are rooted in attachment, ta, specifically attachment to approval, and aversion to criticism. This clinging to external validation creates suffering, because it ties our sense of self-worth to the ever-changing opinions of others. The Buddha's teachings on detachment offer a pathway to liberation from this cycle of dependence. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we cling to things, whether they are material possessions, relationships, or even opinions as sources of identity or happiness. Explaining oneself excessively is a subtle form of clinging to others' perceptions. It is an attempt to control how others see us, driven by the fear of being misunderstood or judged. However, from a Buddhist perspective, the path to inner peace lies in letting go of this need and affirming our autonomy and inherent worth. Imagine you've decided to pursue a career in the arts, despite societal and familial pressures to choose a more conventional path. Friends and family might question your decision, expressing concerns about stability or success. The instinctive response might be to justify your choice with detailed explanations, hoping to win their approval or understanding. However, a simple, confident statement like, "This is what brings me joy and fulfillment," can be far more powerful. This response conveys a deep sense of self-assurance and a refusal to let others dictate your path. In doing so, you assert that your happiness is not contingent upon their validation. This practice aligns with the Buddhist concept of authenticity, sakka, or being true to oneself. The Buddha's life itself is a profound example of this principle. born into luxury as a prince. He made the radical decision to renounce his royal life in pursuit of spiritual truth. His choice was met with confusion and resistance from those around him, but he remained steadfast, understanding that his path was his own to walk. This unwavering commitment to authenticity serves as a timeless reminder that we do not need to justify our decisions to those who cannot see our vision. Moreover, the act of not explaining oneself can also be viewed as an expression of self-compassion metta. When we prioritize our own peace and happiness over the opinions of others, we are practicing kindness toward ourselves. This does not imply shutting people out or avoiding meaningful dialogue. Rather, it involves setting healthy boundaries to protect our energy and attention. Boundaries, in this context, are acts of self-respect, signaling that our worth is not up for debate. Consider the story of a woman who left a high-paying corporate job to open a small bakery. Initially, she felt compelled to explain her decision to everyone who asked, detailing her dissatisfaction with her previous career and her passion for baking. Over time, she realized that these explanations were more about appeasing others than affirming her own choice. By simply stating, "This is what I love to do," she discovered a profound sense of freedom and joy. Her story illustrates the liberating power of authenticity and the futility of seeking universal approval. From a Buddhist perspective, letting go of the need to explain oneself is a form of non-attachment, aññāpādana. It reflects a deep understanding that our peace and self-worth are too valuable to be contingent on external opinions. This detachment is not a rejection of others, but an acknowledgement that their judgments do not define us. By releasing this need, we free ourselves to live authentically and align with our true purpose. The practice of not explaining oneself also invites us to cultivate equanimity, upekkha, one of the 4 sublime states in Buddhism. Equanimity is the ability to remain balanced and undisturbed by praise or blame. When we embody this state, we no longer feel compelled to defend our choices or seek validation. Instead, we find strength in our inner clarity and conviction. To put this into practice, consider the next time someone questions a personal decision. Resist the urge to launch into a detailed justification. Instead, respond with a brief, confident statement that reflects your truth. For example, if someone asks why you chose to spend your weekend volunteering instead of socializing, you might simply say, "It's important to me," and leave it at that. Notice how this response shifts the dynamic, signaling that your choices are not up for debate. Ultimately, the practice of not explaining oneself is a journey toward greater self-reliance and inner peace. It challenges us to let go of our attachment to approval and embrace the freedom of authenticity. By doing so, we cultivate a deeper connection to our true selves and create space for a life that is aligned with our values and aspirations. Keep your distance. In Buddhist teachings, the concept of wise association, Kalyamattā, emphasizes the importance of surrounding oneself with individuals who uplift and inspire. The Buddha frequently advised his followers to associate with the wise and avoid the company of the unwholesome. This guidance is not merely about moral or spiritual alignment, but also about safeguarding one's emotional and mental well-being. Keeping distance from those who consistently disrespect us is not an act of hostility, but one of profound self-respect. It is an acknowledgement that our time, energy, and peace are finite resources that must be protected. The Dhammapada encapsulates this principle beautifully. Better to live alone. There is no fellowship with the foolish. This verse reminds us that solitude, when chosen wisely, is far preferable to enduring the negativity of unwholesome associations. Consider a scenario where a family member frequently undermines your efforts or belittles your achievements. Cultural and societal norms might pressure you to maintain a close relationship, leading to feelings of guilt or obligation. However, Buddhism teaches that self-respect and inner peace must take precedence. Establishing healthy boundaries, whether by limiting interactions or avoiding certain topics, allows us to maintain a respectful distance while preserving our well-being. A practical example of this principle is illustrated in the story of a monk who lived near a village known for its hostile residents. Despite enduring frequent insults and hostility, the monk remained calm and composed. When asked how he managed to maintain his equanimity, he replied, "I keep my heart like a still pond. Their words are like stones thrown into the water. They create ripples but cannot reach the depths." Over time, the villagers grew ashamed of their behavior and began to treat him with respect. This story highlights how maintaining inner stillness and resilience can transform even the most challenging relationships. From a Buddhist perspective, keeping distance is not about building walls, but about creating space for growth and harmony. It is an act of compassion, karu, toward oneself, recognizing that we cannot pour from an empty cup. By choosing to disengage from toxic dynamics, we preserve our energy for relationships that nourish and uplift us. It is also worth noting that distance does not have to be physical, can be emotional or psychological. For instance, you might choose to mentally detach from a colleague's negativity by not internalizing their comments. This mental distance allows you to interact with them when necessary without being affected by their behavior. In modern life, this principle might look like stepping back from social media interactions that drain your energy, or choosing to spend less time with individuals who perpetuate drama. By doing so, you create a protective buffer that allows you to focus on what truly matters. Ultimately, the practice of keeping distance is a profound act of self-care and wisdom. It reflects a deep understanding of the impermanence and interconnectedness of life, reminding us that we have the power to choose our associations and shape our environment. By surrounding ourselves with positivity and maintaining boundaries, we cultivate a life of peace, clarity, and fulfillment. Hold your head high. Confidence and dignity are not just desirable traits. They are essential aspects of self-respect, deeply rooted in Buddhist teachings on self-reliance. The Buddha's encouragement to be a light unto themselves encapsulates the idea that true strength and assurance come from within. This teaching urges us to rely on our inner resources, cultivating a sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. Holding one's head high in the face of disrespect is more than a physical posture. It is a profound declaration of inner resilience. When we stand tall with confidence, we are asserting that our worth is not determined by the judgments or opinions of others. This principle is vividly illustrated in the story of Venerable Anāthapiṭṭika, one of the Buddha's foremost lay disciples. Despite facing ridicule and criticism for his unwavering support of the Buddhist Sangha, Anāthapiṭṭika remained steadfast. His actions were guided by his values and his deep faith in the teachings of the Buddha. This steadfastness, in the face of external negativity, exemplifies the power of living authentically and with integrity. In modern contexts, this principle translates into everyday scenarios where we are called to assert our self-worth. For instance, imagine walking into a meeting where you anticipate your ideas will be challenged. By maintaining composure, making eye contact, and speaking with clarity, you send a powerful message. You value your contributions, regardless of others' opinions. This confidence often disarms critics, as it denies them the power to diminish your sense of self-worth. In essence, holding your head high is a silent but potent assertion of self-respect. From a Buddhist perspective, this practice is closely tied to the cultivation of gratitude. Gratitude, in this sense, is not limited to external expressions of thanks, but extends to an appreciation of one's own strengths and efforts. By acknowledging the experiences, challenges, and triumphs that have shaped us, we reinforce our confidence. This cycle of gratitude and self-respect becomes a foundation for resilience enabling us to face life's difficulties with grace and composure. It is important to note that in Buddhism, confidence is never divorced from humility. True confidence arises from an understanding of our intrinsic worth, balanced by the recognition of our interconnectedness with others. This interplay is beautifully captured in the Buddha's teaching on the middle way, which advocates for balance in all aspects of life. Holding one's head high, therefore, is not about arrogance or superiority, but about embodying a quiet strength that coexists with compassion and understanding. Consider a scenario where someone tries to belittle your achievements. Instead of reacting defensively or shrinking back, you might respond with a calm acknowledgement of their perspective, paired with a confident affirmation of your efforts. For example, you could say, "I understand your viewpoint, but I'm proud of the work I've done." This response reflects both confidence and humility, showing that you value your contributions without dismissing others. The teachings of Buddhism are rich with stories that highlight the importance of confidence rooted in self-reliance. One such story involves Kisā Gotamī, a woman who sought the Buddha's help after the death of her child. Overwhelmed by grief, she approached the Buddha, hoping for a miracle. Instead, the Buddha asked her to bring him a mustard seed from a household that had never experienced loss. As she traveled from house to house, she realized the universality of suffering and found strength in this understanding. When she returned to the Buddha, she did so with her head held high, having transformed her grief into wisdom and compassion. Kisā Gotamī's journey exemplifies the resilience that arises from confronting life's challenges with courage and self-awareness. Another example is the story of Venerable Bhaddiya, a monk who was once a king. When Bhaddiya renounced his throne to join the Sangha, he faced criticism and doubt from those who questioned his decision. Yet, Bhaddiya's confidence in his path never wavered. He held his head high, trusting in the peace and fulfillment he found in the monastic life. His story reminds us that confidence is not about external achievements, but about living in alignment with our values and truths. Applying the principle of holding your head high in daily life requires a conscious effort to cultivate self-awareness and resilience. One practical approach is to practice mindful reflection on your accomplishments and values. Take time to acknowledge your strengths and the progress you have made, no matter how small. This practice reinforces your sense of self-worth and prepares you to face challenges with confidence. Another practical application is to adopt a posture of confidence, even in moments of doubt. Research in psychology suggests that our body language can influence our emotions. Standing tall, making eye contact, and maintaining an open posture can help us feel more self-assured, even in difficult situations. This aligns with the Buddhist understanding of the mind-body connection, where physical actions can influence mental states. Finally, consider the role of community in fostering confidence. Surrounding yourself with supportive individuals who uplift and inspire you can reinforce your sense of self-worth. In Buddhism, this is referred to as wise association. By seeking the company of those who encourage your growth, you create an environment that nurtures confidence and dignity. At its core, holding your head high is about recognizing and honoring your inherent worth. It is a practice of self-respect that transcends external circumstances, rooted in the Buddhist understanding of inner strength and resilience. By embodying this principle, we not only affirm our own value, but also inspire others to do the same. In the words of the Buddha, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. Holding your head high isn't just a posture or a physical act. It's a mindset, a way of honoring your inherent worth and embracing life with courage and dignity. It's about trusting in your inner light, as the Buddha so beautifully taught, and finding strength in your own truth, whether it's facing criticism at work navigating difficult relationships, or simply overcoming self-doubt. This practice is your key to transforming challenges into opportunities for growth. Remember the story of Kisā Gotamī and how she turned her grief into wisdom, or Venerable Bhaddiya's unwavering confidence in renouncing a throne for a path of inner peace. Their stories are reminders that we, too, can rise above external judgments and live authentically. Your worth is not determined by what others think or say. It's defined by the values you hold, the kindness you practice, and the strength you embody. So, as you move forward, I challenge you, the next time life tests your confidence, stand tall, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that you deserve to hold your head high, whether it's through small daily actions, like pausing to reflect on your accomplishments, or making the bold choice to walk away from negativity. Every step you take towards self-respect strengthens your inner resilience. If this video has inspired you, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Hit the like button to show your support, and share this message with friends or family who might need a reminder of their own inner strength. And don't forget to subscribe to Buddhist Echoes, your destination, for content that combines ancient Buddhist wisdom with actionable insights for modern living. When you subscribe, be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Finally, I want to hear from you. Which part of today's video resonated with you the most? Was it the stories of resilience, the practical tips, or the Buddhist teachings that struck a chord? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. Your feedback fuels this channel and helps us grow as a community of seekers and learners. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. May you continue to walk through life with your head held high, your heart full of gratitude, and your spirit anchored in peace. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and stay true to yourself. See you in the next video.